What's up, San Antonio? What's up, Texas? This is the Area 210 podcast coming at you. My name is Mike Jimenez. That's Joe Garcia. We're going to be on for about an hour 15, hour and a half, talking sports, pop culture, talking some nostalgic things along the way. Lots going on today. Joe, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Got a lot of things to talk about today. We have everything from the NBA power rankings that were released all the way to the NFL Combine, Cowboy news, Houston, Texas news. We got a lot.
Yeah, Mel Kiper Jr. released his updated mock draft, and that's a big deal, right? The NFL is looking towards the upcoming draft that's coming up. There's no lottery. We know how everyone is slotted. Mel Kiper Jr., who he has the Dallas Cowboys taking, a little bit of a surprising name, to be honest with you. A position that they do need, but a surprising name. We'll get into that. Houston Texans might be on the move, maybe, maybe not. You know, we saw the Oilers leave back in the mid-'90s. They went over to Tennessee. Houston Texans this past week threatened the city by saying that they're looking to jump ship as well, potentially, if they don't get a new stadium or if they don't get $1.3 billion to renovate their existing stadium. So lots to get into today.
We have a lead story to lead off with, and you have some explaining to do, Mike.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
What is that, brother?
Okay, so here with the Chica over here, we're having breakfast. And, I had a little bit of protein, had some eggs and whatnot. She was making herself potato and egg. And at the end of it all, she was like, hey, I have an extra taco left over. Do you want it? So she gives it to me, and she gives me the green salsa. Now, don't get me wrong. 99 times out of 100, I crave green salsa. I don't like red salsa. I like green salsa. Now, the kind that she uses is kind of spicy, but I muscle through it, right? Power through it. Well, the fact of the matter is that I wasn't feeling down with spicy food this morning. I just didn't want that to end my breakfast. So I went to the fridge and I went and got some ketchup. And she goes, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? So I was like, this is what I used to do as a kid. She goes, well, you're not a kid anymore. Just don't do it. But I felt like it. And I think Sith Lord Elias did this one time as well.
The ketchup.
And I have a poll question asking, is it okay to have ketchup on a potato and egg taco? And 48 votes are in right now. 71% saying no, salsa only. 29% saying why not. Joe, is this a crime against humanity when it comes to breakfast tacos?
Man, this is all right when you're a kid, man. But being a full-grown adult, man, just eat the taco just straight, dude.
Yeah, well, we have Jason Garcia coming out to us from the Pacific Northwest. He's out there in Portland, Oregon, saying, how are you going to power through a non-spicy taco? Fact of the matter is, man, is that I like salsa, but I just wasn't in the mood for it today, man. I just wasn't in the mood for the spice.
Oh, man.
Getting ready for work, getting ready for this podcast.
I love how Matt Lerma put out here, you're sick for that ketchup, plus there's a hair in the taco.
Oh, I'm sure there is. What's going on, Matt? Jesse A says no ketchup, just got to raw dog that taco.
Yeah.
Cochinos already in the morning, man. Jesse A saying Mike is a menace to society. Again, the phrase is not menace to society. It is Jimenez to society. What's going on, Joe?
I was going to say, we have some cochino talk to get into, too. We'll talk about that sometime in the show. I've heard
involving Steve Smith Jr. Senior, rather.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the main question about that one, we'll get into later on, is that for those of you who don't know, Steve Smith, a former star wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers, I believe, is accused of having some sort of affair with a married woman. And the husband is going after Steve Smith. And the big question is, should he go after Steve Smith or should he go after his spouse when it comes to it all? Because it is getting kind of nasty as far as what's going on with the back and forth and the screenshots of text messages and all that stuff.
The alleged perpetrator right there.
So
and
that's what we're getting.
That we're saying that talking about her, dude.
You want to get into this first, or do we want to talk sports first, Joe?
Let's talk about cochino talk. Let's get into it, man. It's the thing is like he busted the husband busted the wife because he saw the cochino text that they were sending themselves back and forth, and they have a video of the husband calling Steve Smith Sr., telling him, you knew she was married. What do you got to say for yourself? And he's like, sorry, got caught. And the whole thing is, it's a whole debacle, right? Because the alleged person who's been cheating, the wife here, the woman involved, she's also in the marching band that they have, I guess, over at the Ravens
Didn't
games
know
or
they had
something.
one. Yeah.
Neither did I. Apparently they do. So that's what he's been doing. And then the funny thing is like he's doing all this stuff with the wife, right? With the
Hmm.
married man's wife, and like not even like 10 days or something after he's over here doing cochinos with her, he's taking family photos in November with his family like nothing's happening, dude. Like, damn.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you're the guy, and for those of you who've ever been victim of this, it is not a good or fun experience. And you brought up a really good question off air, Joe, which is like, who do you get more mad at? And the answer is you get mad at both. I mean, to be honest, you try to get mad at both. Um, I don't want to get into stuff that's happened in my lifetime, but the fact of the matter is that it's a pretty raw experience, man. And I think he's going after Steve Smith Sr. because Steve Smith Sr. is a public profile. He's a public person. People know who he is. It's
Yeah.
no different than when people went after Tony Parker back in the day, Brent Barry, and his wife and all that stuff. You go at them publicly to shame them, to ruin their reputation because that's all you're going to do. Do you think this guy's going to go up to Steve Smith Sr. and beat his ass?
No,
No.
no.
Do you think he's going to go cap him? No. So the best that he can do to hurt him is to embarrass him, and that's what he's
And then
doing.
the internet is undefeated, dude. They said somebody said Steve Smith Sr. cheated on his wife with Jeff Van Gundy, and I can't unsee it. And they put a side comparison of the two. And then they said, there's a picture, I guess, that he was sending the wife, and everybody's going to be using this picture now in some
Yeah,
capacity.
Steve Smith Sr. has become a meme. He
Yeah,
was a good receiver back in the day, dude. He really was.
yeah.
Let's talk about the NFL a little bit. The Houston Texans reportedly threatened the city of Houston for a move outside of the city. It's interesting because the city of Houston experienced this before, and it's weird when you look at cities that have experienced moves. They're large markets. Los Angeles, lost the Raiders multiple times. You see, Houston lost the Oilers. I mean, Houston lost the Oilers to Memphis and then to Nashville when it all came down to it all.
Yeah.
And Houston's a top 10 market. Nashville isn't. So it's kind of interesting. NRG Stadium is 23 years old, and the Texans are saying we need $1.3 billion. That's with a B. $1.3 billion to renovate that stadium over the course of 30 years. And one of the reasons why they're saying that is because they're upset by the fact that other teams, other cities have better stadiums. They're talking about that stadium that's going on over in Las Vegas. They're talking about the SoFi in LA. They're talking about Jerry World in Dallas. And they're looking at that saying, NRG is a nice stadium and all, but it's not as good as it is elsewhere, and we're behind the times.
Yeah,
Now,
look at that, Mike. 1.4 billion is needed over 30 years for the renovations as a total.
So the Texans are saying 1.4 billion in renovations, but if we're going to be spending that much money anyway, why don't we just get new digs?
Exactly.
And one of the proposed sites, Joe, is funny.
Conroe.
It would be right next to the original. It would be right next to NRG, right?
Yeah.
You'd have a stadium. You'd have the Astrodome, which is nothing anymore. It's deserted next to NRG Stadium, next to a brand new stadium. It would be 3 football stadiums all in a row, 2 of them no longer being used, if that's all being said and done. The problem that you have with the city of Houston when it comes to it all is that they're still paying off NRG. NRG was a 30-year note. They're paying off NRG. They're paying off Toyota Stadium for the Houston Rockets. They're paying off various things for the Houston Cougars as well. They're basically saying, look, we don't have the money. If you're going to move. If you're going to move. So now a report this morning came out saying that the Texans are saying, well, what we'll do is get into cahoots with the Houston Stock Show and Rodeo and develop something with them. But that would be away from the side of town where the NRG Stadium is. It'd be someplace else in Houston, which is a possibility for them staying. But the fact of the matter is, Joe, they're just pissed off that they're not keeping up with the Joneses. Back in the year 2002, this was a state-of-the-art stadium. In 2025,
not so much.
It's not so much, man. It's
Marbach nice, Mike. Let's be
it's
nice.
Marbach nice now, dude. That's basically it.
Yeah, and this
That,
is from Newsweek. I'm showing the article from Newsweek, kind of giving the figures of what's needed, and what's going on basically with the Texans. So you can read the full article by going to Newsweek and checking out their website at newsweek.com.
yeah, it has that part right there where it says Houston sports authorities paying off $1 billion in bonds for
Damn.
NRG, Daikin Park, which used to be called the Minute Maid, where the Astros play, the Toyota Center, where the Rockets play. They're like, hey, look, we're still paying these three off, and we're paying off your current facility
Yeah.
still. And for them to want to move at that point, now where would they go, Joe? If the Houston Texans were to leave Houston, like the Oilers left, right? Where's a likely destination, Joe?
The Woodlands, Conroe. I'm just playing, dude. I don't know. If they were gonna leave and let's say they want to keep it in Texas, why not bring it to San Antonio, man? Put it in Austin or something,
Put it in New Braunfels, put it in San Marcos. Actually, I think the perfect location would be the Circuit of Americas there in South Austin. I think that's the best place to be, unless you're going to implode the Alamo Dome and
Oh,
rebuild that, right?
God, please let them implode that thing. That thing is ugly, dude.
I was doing the math behind it, Joe. We talk about like the different media markets out there. San Antonio, I believe, is media market 31, and I believe that Austin is 34, if I'm not mistaken. But when you combine the two, the way that Dallas Fort Worth does it as a metroplex, Minneapolis St. Paul as a metroplex, Tampa St. Pete as a metroplex, when you combine multiple cities like that into one media market, which is going to happen in San Antonio, San Antonio would be number 15 nationwide. We'd be above Detroit and below Denver if we were to combine media markets. I know a lot of San Antonio people are going to be like, well, we don't want to be combined with Austin. We don't want to be considered San Antonio, Austin, or Austin, San Antonio.
What they do
Austin,
in Dallas,
Antonio.
right?
They do it already in Dallas.
Yeah. The Metroplex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one big. It's like if you're combining, let's say, what Austin, what else is around us? Maybe San Marcos, something like that, and just
Yeah.
as a collective whole, it's going to be the Metroplex of San Antonio or something,
Yeah. Jesse A. reaches out to us and says the cost should fall on the owners of the team. But they don't have to spend their own money if another city is willing to pony up the funds to do it. Why pay out of pocket if someone's willing to do it? They know the city of Houston would be willing to do it. They know that somehow, some way, they're going to try to figure it out because they don't want to lose a second NFL franchise in 30 years.
Yeah.
The same can also be said about San Antonio. Dude, San Antonio would foot the bill like crazy because San Antonians love football. Austin would do it for something new.
You would actually go to a game, right? Because it's not going to be like spring football, like they say the San Antonio Brahmas. It would actually
real
be
football.
NFL football.
It's real football. I mean, why am I a Saints fan? I'm a Saints fan because the Saints played 3 regular season games here in San Antonio. The only real games that we ever had in San Antonio were because of the Saints back in the early 2000s after Katrina.
You had
and I became a fan.
Dallas Cowboys spring
Those
camp.
don't count. None of those games count. Those are not real games.
Yeah.
Those are all preseason games involving players that don't play in the league.
That was just Jerry marketing his wares,
Right. But you look at it and it's just, there are so many cities that would be thirsty for an NFL franchise. We know that in the NBA, the city that's screaming, we need a team is Seattle, right? Because they lost the Sonics to Oklahoma City.
Yeah, for NBA.
In football, if you're to look around the landscape here, California has too many teams already, right? Pacific Northwest, they already have their teams. Unless you're looking like at a Salt Lake City, or you're looking at San Antonio / Austin, or you're looking at an Oklahoma City, those are really the only areas that I can see that could be supportive of an NFL team. Unless you're going to go to like Charleston, South Carolina, unless you're going to go someplace like that. There's really only a handful of cities that can actually support an NFL franchise and the stadium that goes with it. Tomorrow, I'm going to be in Charlotte, right? I have a business meeting in Charlotte. And we're in the downtown area that overlooks the sports complexes out there. It is beautiful, dude. It's very metropolitan. I love going to Charlotte. But you need to have that type of vibe and that type of money, that type of energy to do it. Right now, if you look at Energy Park, where the Texans play, it's away from the downtown district. And because it's away from the downtown district, it's not a destination. You go by that place, Joe, you know what it reminds me of?
Right.
Frost Bank Center.
No, I've seen it before. I've gone through Houston before, and I've seen it, and it's like it's just a big old stadium that's erected, right there away from everything else. It's like you said, it's away from the downtown scene, and usually what'll happen in today's times now is you're going to have a sports complex that integrates with the downtown area. So you actually have things to do. You can go to restaurants, have some drinks, have things to do before and after the game, right? Because you just want to
Right.
keep everybody in that downtown area because why? It's good for the community as a whole, good for the downtown district, you know, and it brings money into the city, So that's at the end of the day, that's really what it boils down to. Why not San Antonio, Mike? They're
Right.
talking about building that, new sports complex and everything. Why not? Why not us?
Right. I mean, we have Matt Gomez in our stream right here saying, well, if they love football, we should just go to XFL games or UTSA. Why? That's lower level games. That's like saying if you love the Major League Baseball so much, you should go watch the missions. I enjoy going to the missions because I want to be outside on a summer evening getting some $2 hot dogs and $2 beers and hanging out with friends. I don't go there because I enjoy the game. Okay. I
What are
could
you
go
going
I
to
could
say, Mike?
I could go watch UTSA basketball and be bored to tears, or I could go watch the Spurs. I'd rather watch the Spurs because those are the professionals of the sports.
So what are
The
you
thing
going to?
about the thing about the NFL is this, Joe. It's only 8 or 9 regular season games per year.
Yeah.
The city of San Antonio can pony up the expensive ticket prices to go to that. We would go do that, okay? And for those on the stream saying, well, it's just a sport, it's not a sport. The NFL is the sport in the United States. It is the sport that people care about. It is the NFL number one. If we're going to rank all the sports in the U.S., Joe, fandom. Number
Yeah.
one's the NFL, not even close. Number two, college football. Those are 1 and 2. 3, 4, and 5 are far beyond that. You might say that number 3 could be MMA, could be boxing. Number 3 could be the NBA. You can have arguments for all of them. When it comes to actual attendance, Joe, by far the most attended sports is baseball, but baseball also has 81 home games every year.
Oh, here's my
Uh,
argument with you, though, man. I wouldn't mind San Antonio getting an NFL team, right? I think that would
I
be
would love
great
it.
for the city. But you've also called San Antonio a poor city. So do you think they would be able to fill the stadium and sell it out?
Yeah, football's that big of a draw. If there's two things that the city of San Antonio likes, it's rock music and it's NFL football. I mean, I had this conversation recently with people out here in East Texas, and we were talking about like the music that you like per for area. And I said, well, San Antonio is really big into country, really big into. We're one of the few hot spots with Tejano from time to time, but San Antonio is also huge into classic rock. I mean, if Metallica's coming to town, if AC/DC's coming to town, the Alamo Dome is going to be filled to the brim, man. 65,000 fans, right?
You know what, Mike? What would
NFL is a huge draw. San Antonio would easily fill that,
would you
especially
buy your
considering the
season
fact that
tickets?
Austin's so close.
Would you buy your season tickets?
Yes, in a heartbeat, and I would renounce my Saints fandom if San
You'd
Antonio had a
be
season
all
ticket on
in.
too. Yeah,
And then what would happen? You know what's going to happen, right? If that ever did, in whatever scenario that is, that San Antonio gets an NFL team, and the Brahmas fold, right? USFL folds, XFL, whatever. You know what you would say the next day?
what's
Good,
that? Yeah,
good. Brahmas are out of San Antonio, folded. Good.
I mean, I'll go watch the Brahmas, just go hang out with my boys, but I'm not going to go to enjoy the football excellence that's out there because there is no football excellence out there. It is high school football being played at the Alamo Dome. Is basically all that it is.
I
But
want to go to a Brahmas game. I want to take some of the, the hint they hear.
they're
The
living the
fans of
dream, baby.
football,
They're
man.
living the dream. Hey, if you can look up real fast on Twitter, and I'll kind of begin the conversation piece on this. Mel Kiper Jr. released his mock draft today.
Okay,
The
let's check.
NFL draft is coming up, man. Mel Kiper Jr., who is notorious when it comes to the NFL draft, right? When you think of I know you have Todd McShay, and you have all those other mock drafts out there, USA Today, Bleacher Report, all that stuff. But really, Mel Kiper Jr. is the one that's been doing it for so long.
Yeah, we
And
have
Mel
it.
Kiper has his mock draft released today. And a couple of conversation pieces about this. He has number one, the Tennessee Titans going after Abdul Carter, an edge out of Penn State. Number two, Cam Ward, who was the quarterback for UIW, the Incarnate Word Cardinal, went to Miami, was played over there as well. They have Cam Ward going number two overall to Cleveland. Right, Cleveland's has to do something about the Deshaun Watson situation. Right. Number three, Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter going to the Giants. Number four, LSU offensive tackle Will Campbell going to the New England Patriots. Mason Graham, the defensive tackle, going to Michigan. This is where it gets interesting, Joe. Mel Kiper Jr. has star running back Ashton Genty of Boise State going number 6.
And wasn't he tied with the Cowboys at one time where they were in a mock draft and said Cowboys are going to get him?
Cowboys would get him at 12, but apparently, I told you, Joe, all it takes is one team to be excited about a running back. All it takes is one team. And Ashton Genty going number 6 overall. Dude, taking him at 12 makes perfect sense. Taking him at 6, though, I mean, I can see why the Cowboys wouldn't want to do that, because to move up to 6, you'd have to give up a third rounder. You'd have to give up a first and a third to move up 6 spots.
But why would the Raiders take Ashton Genty over Shedeur Sanders?
Because the idea is you get the star running back and then you get a pretty decent quarterback behind them.
Right? But what if you have your quarterback in Shedeur Sanders right there? Arguably could be the face of your franchise. Wouldn't you want to get him instead of a running back?
I see the point, Joe. I really do see the point.
Because wouldn't that sell more tickets, right?
It would sell more jerseys. That's for sure. The Vegas doesn't have to worry about selling tickets. They have tens of thousands of visitors, tourists coming in every day. They will forever sell out. Doesn't matter if that team is 1-16. They will forever sell out. Okay. But that being said, I've seen mock drafts that say that they're going to go running back, quarterback, get Ashton Genty, and then swing back around and get Quinn Ewers at quarterback and say, we hope that Quinn Ewers, because here's the thing about Shedeur Sanders, who they have going number 7 to the Jets have moved on from Aaron Rodgers. If they got Shedeur Sanders, they'd get a star guy in New York and potentially have a gateway for Deion Sanders to go over there as a coach or a coordinator one day, right? But if you look at it this way, I've seen the player comps of Shedeur Sanders. You know, you get these player comps, right? Where you go, oh, this person reminds me of this person. This reminds me of this person. The player comp for Cam Ward that I've been seeing most often is Ben Roethlisberger. They're saying he's not as big as Ben Roethlisberger, but he has the same dynamic, the same playmaking ability, the same arm. They're saying Cam Ward is basically an African-American smaller version of Big Ben. Okay. But Shedeur Sanders, his player comp is weird because the one that I saw this week was Teddy Bridgewater. Now, Teddy Bridgewater, when he came out of, I believe it was LSU, was a very dynamic quarterback. But Teddy Bridgewater, got hurt, had a long career, but was primarily a backup for like half his career. But does Teddy Bridgewater make you feel excited? Because if the player comps that they're coming out, Shedeur Sanders is a name because his last name is Sanders.
Yeah, and Sam Salinas is saying, what's the hype with Sanders? I don't get it. Getting a highly overrated vibe from him. It's because he's Prime's son.
Yeah, and it's not, okay, this is not a Bronny James situation. Yeah. Okay? Bronny James has no business being in the NBA. This is a situation where, he did well at the HBCU. He did well at Colorado. People took notice. Everyone agrees he has NFL talent. Everyone agrees that he should be a top 2-round kind of guy. So this is not a Bronny James situation. But the fact of the matter is that you look at Shedeur Sanders and you have to ask yourself the question, okay, you're a top 2-round guy, but are you really a top 10 guy? Are you really the number 1, number 2 overall pick kind of guy or not? And the thing is that most of the player comps out there are saying, well, he could be. But as of right now, his comparison's Teddy Bridgewater.
Hey, I got a question for you, Mike. I was just thinking about this. In the world of ironies and things that can happen, right? Anything can happen in the draft. So Cowboys right now, with this mock draft at number 12, they have them selecting Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina, right?
Hmm.
Cowboys could use a running back, not going to lie. Okay.
Right.
Nowhere on this list do you see a Quinn Ewers, right? He's going to be
Right.
a second round, right?
Second
Probably
rounder.
second rounder. If he falls in the Cowboys' lap coming into that second or even falls down further in the third, what do you think if the Cowboys were to go ahead and draft him?
You got to do it, man. The Cowboys need to have a backup quarterback to begin with. And the fact of the matter is that there's questions about durability when it comes to Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's had 2 seasons, including last season, where you missed half the games out there because of an injury, right? We also know that Dak is no longer mobile. He's more susceptible to injury because of his ankles and things like that. So they do need to draft a quarterback. The question is at what round? The Cowboys had Tony Romo in his prime, right? Getting injured from time to time, but he was in his prime. And they what did they do? They went out and got Dak Prescott in the 4th round out of Mississippi State. So it's not unheard of for them to draft a quarterback. In fact, Stephen Jones has insinuated that, yeah, we're going to go get a quarterback at some point in this draft to do something because they're moving on from Trey Lance. Trey Lance is going to be a free agent this year. That was an awful trade that they did for him. I know RJ Achilla from Blogging the Boys was saying that it wasn't that bad, but the fact of the matter is, you get a name like Trey Lance, you're giving up draft capital for somebody who never played.
No, RJ changed his mind, dude. He was saying that was one of the worst trades the Cowboys have made, getting that Trey Lance. But a lot of the chatter right now in the chat saying, he's not a starter. Matt Gomez is saying.
Talk about Quinn.
Hanover Fest is saying he's a second 6th-rounder. They're talking about Ewers. Day 2
and,
guy.
And the fact, but the thing is, though, is that Quinn Ewers is a very good quarterback. He's not a dynamic quarterback. He's not going to be Tom Brady. He's not going to be Patrick Mahomes.
Better than Trey Lance?
But yes, by far. Trey Lance should never, out of North Dakota State, should never have been a top 3 quarterback taken in the draft, top 3 pick in the draft. Trey Lance played literally like 14 games in college. Quinn Ewers has a lot of time under his belt. Look what happened this past season. Jaden Daniels, right? Jaden Daniels played 4 years of college. He had like 40 some odd starts in college football for multiple programs, including LSU. And he goes out there and he's ready to be a starter. He's ready. He has played in front of 100,000 people. Look at quarterbacks like Caleb Williams, who had an above average rookie campaign. I know they struggled because that team was inconsistent and all that stuff. They had no offensive line. I get that. But when he was on, he was fine. The quarterbacks out there, Joe, that have had only one good year and they go out there at age 21, they almost all suck. And that includes Trey Lance. But these quarterbacks going out there with a lot of experience, taking a lot of snaps and pro sets and in pro programs, whether it be with LSU or Ohio State or a program like that, are doing very well. From programs like Oklahoma, where Baker Mayfield came from. That's a big, big deal. Quinn Ewers, by the way, I'm looking at his draft stock online right now. NFLDraftBuzz.com has him ranked as the 4th best quarterback in the draft.
Is he better than Rush? You think Ewers is better than Rush?
I think the upside's better
than Cooper Rush.
Yes, I think the upside is a lot better. And he's projected, by the way, they're saying that according to NFLDraftBuzz.com, that Quinn Ewers could go as high as the top of the 2nd round, but should go somewhere in the 3rd.
I could see him falling in the 3rd. Yeah, I could see him falling in the 3rd round.
They say the over-under is pick number 96.
But if you're the Cowboys and you have him there at the 2nd, as available in the 2nd round or 3rd round, you got to pull the trigger, I think.
Well, right. Hannibal Fist saying MJ didn't watch Ewers. Dude, I watched almost every UT game. Quinn Ewers was not 100%. When Ewers is healthy, he does a decent job. Okay? We dissect the Texas Longhorns so badly, but he led the Texas Longhorns to the playoffs multiple times. What more do you want? Name another quarterback in college football that did that. Did Shadur Sanders do that? No. Did Cam Ward do that? No. Quinn Ewers wins games. Is he perfect? No. Is he elite? No. But he wins games, and he's going to have a long NFL career because of it. And there's going to be some team that falls in love with him because they can figure that if you keep him upright, if you keep him healthy, he has a legit chance of being a pretty good quarterback. I'm not saying this is going to be a dynamic one. Maybe he turns into Kirk Cousins. Maybe he turns into Jared Goff. Maybe he turns into that type of quarterback more than anything else.
Says, is this a big draft for Dallas? Oh,
That's
that's
a
what
lock. That's Jeff Garcia.
yeah, he's saying. Is this a big draft for Dallas? I don't know if it's a major draft for Dallas, but it is something that the Cowboys have to actually look at and address the running back position. Definitely. The second position that they're going to have to address is what's going to happen here at their center position now with
Mm-hmm.
Zach Martin now retiring. I mean, that's a big part of your your line there gone. You know,
Yeah, the Cowboys have a lot of positions of need. Running back, you need a
center.
center, you need a
Yeah.
defensive lineman. You can always use somebody in the secondary.
What are they going to have Dak doing? Running for his life, man? He's a pocket quarterback. He can't
Hmm.
really get out and be mobile. I mean, what's he going to do?
They have to take care of Dak first and foremost, and that either means getting a stud receiver, getting a stud running back, or getting a stud offensive lineman. It's all about Dak. You have a $60 million a year investment in him, and because of his health and whatnot, you need to invest in Dak. You got to live by Dak, you got to die by Dak, and that's just the way that it is.
Yeah, and I'm
Um,
going to ask you, Mike, any other names stand out at you as you're looking at the mock draft here?
well, the name that I didn't see on there is Luther Burden in there.
Not that I see. Not in the first
Hmm.
round.
He's a stud wide receiver who's been kind of in the mix. Another good one here that might be for the Cowboys. Georgia safety Malachi Starks. I mean, that guy is considered to be a day one starter. You know, you can always use help in the secondary. Cowboys have had injuries in that area as well. Shamar Stewart projected to go 16 out of A&M. That's a very, very, very good edge player right there. If you're going to look further down the line here, Kelvin Banks Jr. of the Longhorns, offensive tackle. If you're gonna try to shore up the offensive line and do it on the cheap and get somebody going for 4 or 5 years on a rookie deal, Kelvin Banks might be a good one as well. That would be available. If you're gonna move up in the draft to get anybody, um, the one that I like, and I'm really happy that this mock draft has my Saints going at number 9. Tyler Warren from Penn State, the tight end over there. We saw what Brock Bowers was able to do with the Raiders in his rookie campaign. I was so pissed off that the Saints passed on Bowers. But Tyler Warren is considered to be the next version of Brock Bowers. So for those of you who do fantasy football, keep Tyler Warren in your back pocket because I won a lot of games because I drafted Bowers early in last year's draft. Jesse A coming out and saying the Cowboys are softly tanking for Arch. Well, let me ask you this, Joe. Let's say Arch Manning has a fantastic year for the Longhorns. They go to the playoffs, they make a run at the national championship, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is Arch Manning really ready for the NFL
I don't
after
think he
one
is.
one year? He needs to cook for a while, right?
To cook at least 2 more seasons, man. Get some seasoning in you because he has the name Manning. Hold some weight here, right? So you don't want to come in too early into the NFL and then he doesn't produce at a high level. What's that going
Mm-hmm.
to say about the family name? You don't think that the family's going to be disappointed?
Well, he has the name Manning, but he's different, man, because you saw that
Fun.
statue that was Eli, that statue that was Peyton Manning, and you look at Arch, and Arch likes to run, right? So Arch is more like Archie than he is like Peyton and Eli, his uncles.
Yep.
So that being said, it's interesting to see that dynamic there of what he's able to do. He's a new modern age quarterback, and it's going to be fun to watch for the Longhorns this year. But even if he has a spectacular season, even if he goes off and wins the Heisman, I don't think he should come out. I think he needs to cook for a couple of years at the very minimum. So here's the question here. Ben G reaches out to us on our YouTube stream, which is powered, the chat powered by MCS General Contracting, saying Kelvin Banks dropping that far. So, Joe, we know that Jerry Jones likes to make a deal. He likes to drop back in the draft. Famously, he dropped back in the draft and got Micah Parsons. But that being said, Kelvin Banks projected to go 25 to the Texans. Offensive tackle, considered to be one of the best tackles in the draft. Would you be upset if the Cowboys were to drop the 12, go to 15, 18, 20, pick up a third rounder, get the offensive tackle, and just accumulate more draft capital for a second or a third round pick?
I don't think I would be mad at it. I would be a little disappointed if they didn't use that. If they didn't use those picks to kind of shore up some of the holes that they have, because they do need somebody at the line. They do need a center. They need to address the running back position. At the end of the day, you need to protect Dak, man. That's your quarterback for the foreseeable future. You can't have the brother running out there for his life every freaking down because you can't hold the line. That's not going to work. You got to do something about the line. So I wouldn't be opposed to it, but it just depends on the quality of player that's sitting there,
Right. Rumor has it right now that your Cowboys are in talks with Micah Parsons about extending his deal. Micah Parsons has one more year left in his rookie deal. You know who Scooter Magruder is, that comedian?
Yeah.
He's a Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
You see him all over TikTok. You see him all over Twitter. Scooter Magruder had a question out there yesterday asking, what are the given over under as to the number of months that are going to go by until Micah Parsons gets a new deal? Now, the Cowboys did re-up Dak Prescott. They re-upped CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
They re-upped members of the secondary as well. Micah Parsons there, who is one of the best defensive players in the NFL, maybe just behind TJ Watt and Myles Garrett. One of the best defenders out there, has been clamoring for a deal. So when Scooter Magruder asked the question, give me an over-under as to how many months down the road before Parsons gets a deal, what is your answer? Because I'm going to tell you what my answer was. My answer for that was he is going to get his deal in 41 months.
You think so?
I believe the Cowboys are going to tell Micah Parsons to go screw himself, play out your contract, and then they're going to screw him again one more time next year when they franchise tag his ass, and then they're going to screw him one more time after that and franchise tag his ass again, and then come July 2028, they're going to finally give him a deal. They're going to overpay because they waited so long.
Or they're going to overpay, or Jerry's going to say, cut his ass. He's gone. I ain't paying that brother, That's Jerry's dumbass way of thinking. If you're going to want to go ahead and shore up Micah Parsons, you better get him early rather than late, because then his asking price is going to go up, and Jerry's stupid. Jerry could save money if he gets him, kind of early on, makes him happy. But if he waits too long, like he did with Dak, like he did with CD, what happens in the end? You wind up kind of overpaying a little bit because the asking price is going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry, don't let that kind of crap happen. Like, take care of business early on. That way you can have some more money and go after some other pieces. It's crazy how that works, right, Mike?
It is. I mean, sometimes common sense wins out, but it doesn't happen in Dallas very often. Houston Texans, by the way, are projected to go after Kelvin Banks Jr. of the Texas Longhorns. We've been mentioning Kelvin Banks this morning. You look at what the Texans need. The Texans were fool's gold this past year.
God.
We knew they made the playoffs. CJ Stroud, sophomore slump. I mean, he was amazing as a rookie.
Yeah.
Comes back, has a mediocre second season. The Texans beat a lot of bad teams, but lost to a lot of good teams, and they just basically were average out there. They got annihilated in the playoffs again. The question becomes, well, what do you need to bring them back? What do you need for them to bounce back and be as good as they were 2 seasons ago? So going after an offensive tackle is a good thing, right? Anything to help CJ Stroud, anything to help Joe Mixon in the backfield, that is the deal. What was interesting about the Texans this past year was that it was a wide receiver injury, multiple wide receiver injuries that derailed that team.
Yeah, it stifled them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you had a wide receiver who was poised to have a 2,000-yard season, and then in the 5th game, get knocked out. Yeah. Tank Dell later on in the season got knocked out. So the Texans, you look at their depth chart, the Texans depth chart, I mean, it looks like a still solid team. Like they could bounce back and be players this upcoming year.
You just got to
But
stay healthy.
that was it. The
Yeah.
health there wasn't there because they had injuries to Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs got hurt, Tank Dell got hurt, Dalton Schultz got hurt, Joe Mixon got hurt. It was injury after injury after injury. But the one thing that we found though, Joe, was that CJ Stroud was not able to maneuver around that. CJ Stroud was like, it reminded me of Dak Prescott. Dak only wins when everyone's healthy and everything is going right
And they're
and all
playing a
his.
shitty team. They're playing a shitty team, Mike. Let's be honest.
But the Texans, they couldn't maneuver. Dude, CJ Stroud reminded me of Dak, and it pissed me off, man.
You know what, the Cowboys, man? The thing is funny to me is that Cowboy fans get excited when the Cowboys look like world beaters because they're playing and beating bad teams, and then they
Right.
go up against a decent team and they get their teeth knocked in. Oh, well, it's one of those games. We got to do better. They can't beat good teams, man. That's the problem with the Cowboys. They're just always going to be this team that's going to be in flux, that has high expectations, has it has the talent to actually do something, but it's just disappointment every year, Mike. I don't know if my heart can take it another season, man. That's why I'm seriously considering, is it time for me to move on from this stupid Cowboy poverty franchise and maybe go and join up with the Bills Mafia, man? They paint a good picture, Mike.
Well, I would respect your transition to Bills Mafia, right? Because it's not like you're LeBron James and going after the teams that are just winning, right? You're not saying that you're going to join Chiefs Kingdom. You're not going to go and do that. You're going to a team that has literally never won a Super Bowl, right? Never won a Super Bowl. They went there 4 times. They always get knocked down the in the second round or the AFC Championship game. So that I would respect. I would respect.
They kind of remind me of the Spurs, right, Mike? Back in the day, how they could never get over the hump. They couldn't get past the Lakers. That's how I feel about this Bills team, man.
The mid '90s Spurs.
Yeah.
They have a generational talent in David Robinson, right? They have a superstar in Josh Allen. They can't get over the hump. By the way, we were talking about the Texans earlier. Stephon Diggs, he doesn't have a team anymore.
No,
We know that Nico Collins for the Texans is very, very good. We know that Tank Dell is very good when healthy. Do you want to throw any money at a Stephon Diggs? I mean, can you get a hometown discount for him to stay? By the way, the reports are on Valentine's Day, Stephon Diggs was on a date with Cardi B.
What's wrong with shooters got to shoot, Mike?
No, I get that, but the one thing I saw about all that was Stephon Diggs was on his phone the entire time, but wasn't opening the door for her. What was that all about?
Maybe he just got tired, bro. It's like this, right? You see this hot girl, you ask her out, she says yes, get excited, you go on the date with her, and she's just as annoying as hell, dude. Like, you're just like, man, this ain't it, dude. You just get tired of her, you just want the date to end. You're just like, damn. You had high expectations, and I don't know, there was just something about her that just annoys the shit out of you. Maybe that's what happened with him. She looked good and everything. He's just like, man, this ain't it.
Hey, what are the odds that you and I are going to do this podcast tomorrow, but I'll be doing it potentially from the airport? Because I just looked at my itinerary. My flight doesn't leave till noon.
God.
So can you imagine me in Terminal B at the airport doing this show? That would be funny, man. Using the Wi-Fi from the airport.
Look at this, Jesse A. Joe is going to switch, but once the Cowboys have a streak of 2 or more, he's one. He's going to burst out. Puro pinche Cowboys a la verga. It's our year. Nah, man. It's never going to be the damn Cowboys year. You're going to be saying that for another 28 years. The Cowboys are not going to win shit. I'm going to be dead and gone, and they're going to be still saying, it's our year. It's our year. No, it's not. As long as Jerry still has breath in him, this Cowboy team ain't going nowhere. Once Jerry keels over, I might think about coming back.
Dude, I thought Stephen Jones was different than Jerry.
Nah, it's probably
the more you hear Stephen Jones talk, you realize the apple didn't fall far from the tree when it comes to Jerry. That's what you realize. They talk the same, they act the same. It's narcissism run amok, dude. It is bad there in Dallas. There's no leadership there. Speaking of no leadership, is there a lot of leadership in San Antonio when it comes to the Spurs We're going to talk about that in a second, but let's give love to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's Five as we preview tonight's game against the Pelicans and running it back in New Orleans.
Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/at Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
That's right, at Kens5.com and Jeff G. Spurs on Twitter and Threads. Jeff has an article about a Spurs Victor Wembanyama rookie basketball card that sold for a record price at an auction. You can read about it at Kens5.com, where you can link to it via his Threads or Twitter account at Jeff G. Spurs Zone. Lots of articles involving the Spurs. A lot of reaction from the last loss that they had against the Pelicans. Spurs back in action tonight over at the Tropical Smoothie there in New Orleans. So we're going to see Zion Williamson again. We're going to see what happens with the Spurs starting lineup because we've seen nothing from Devin Vassell. We've seen nothing from Chris Paul. We've seen nothing from a lot of these players. We started Bismack Biyombo for crying out loud in the last game. Spurs went up by 17, ended up getting their asses handed to them in the second half, got outscored by more than 30 points in the second half, got out-rebounded by 23. Spurs missed three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer. Joe, we talked about this yesterday. This is just not a very good squad. You take Wemby out of the equation, they suck ass. Even with them, the young core, we talked about this yesterday, Joe. The young core, Keldon, Devin, Sohan, all that came before Wemby, Malachi, Blake Wesley. Just flush them all down the drain, dude. I don't want to see any of those guys anymore.
You know, you would have thought with Fox, the addition of Fox, even if Wemby's out, Fox is going to be enough to kind of help this team or propel them to some wins, you know? That has not been the case. Fox came in looking great when he first, joined the Silver and Black here. Wemby got injured. Things kind of have fallen off a little bit. And I think it's indicative of him trying to kind of learn not only learn how to gel well with the team, but also learn, how the Spurs offense is run. And there's a lot of things that he still has to get comfortable with, but I think he's done a really admirable job. But it's hard to win with the pieces that you have around you, Mike. You're only as good as the pieces around you. While Fox is a good player, the rest of the team is just not there, man. And right now, if I'm looking at the latest power rankings, which I'll show you right here, the NBA power rankings, man, this is going to show you where the Spurs are currently at this point in time. Last week, they were number 21. This week, they moved up to 20. And they kind of talk a little bit about, what's going on and the takeaways of why they moved up. And they put Victor Wembanyama is out for the rest of the season. The Spurs appear to be lottery bound for the 6th straight season, Mike. Let that sink in there. If this team is as good as Spurs fan likes to claim that they are, they can never get into the play-in. They're going to the lottery for another 6th straight season. It's just not a very good team. You need to be able to, at some point, have the pieces that you're going to get in the lottery kind of pan out for you. And they've already had a lot of works in progress and whatnot. You can't really call it the young core anymore. You have to come to the realization of this talent that you have on this team is just not going to cut it for you anymore. And it's time to kind of move on and get some other pieces. Maybe the Spurs can do that in the offseason. And look, Mike, we've said this before, man. You don't need legitimate superstars on this team. You just need guys that can shoot the ball, man. Get somebody who can knock down a consistent jumper, knock down a three-point shot, man. And look what happens. The team will get a lot better because you got people that can shoot the damn ball. We don't have that on this squad.
Well, we're missing a lot, man. Tavares saying we need a big. I mean, that's another thing.
That too.
We're getting out rebounded like crazy. Joe Gonzalez on our chat line, powered by MCS General Contracting, says Spurs brass will make the necessary moves to make the team better, but everyone is on the block except for maybe three players. The Spurs, when it comes to the draft right now, are holding the number 10 pick if all things hold the form. Spurs are 24-31 on the year, half a game away from Portland. Portland's catching up to us, right? So we might slip into the 9 spot. That pick that we're getting from Atlanta, which is unprotected, went from 11 to 15 overnight because Miami lost and because Atlanta won. So that pick is going to be 11 or 15. Just depends on where they stack up in that play-in tournament because the Eastern Conference sucks so bad right now. The Spurs, I think that we live in this revisionist history right now. We're back in the day, back in the heyday of the mid 2000s, early 2010s, up to the 2014, championship run. We had the best GM, we had the best head coach, we had the best superstar in Tim Duncan, we had the best young up and coming superstar in Kawhi Leonard. We had veteran leadership, all the stars aligned for the Spurs to win in 2014. And now there's no culture there, Joe. There is no culture. We had a head coach in Pop who was kind of like a banana turning black. Like he was done. He was done. He was done years ago. No one wanted to tell him that, but he was done years ago. Meantime, you have a 39-year-old point guard that everyone was all excited about because Chris Paul's a future Hall of Famer. And he had a couple of good games for the Spurs. But where are you guys at, man? Where are you CP3 fans at right now that were making fun of me for saying that the Spurs punted? Where are you guys at? Because what we're seeing, Joe. And what Father Time is what?
Undefeated, man.
The only time Father Time has lost is LeBron James. Somehow LeBron James is beating Father Time. It's the first time we've ever seen that, right?
Yeah.
As SR 2001 points out, Sam Presti went to Oklahoma City. Chip Englund went to Oklahoma City. A lot of our Ime Udoka took off. Budenholzer took off. Becky Hammond took off.
I look
Right?
at Man Over Fist says this turned into the Alamo Sports Haters podcast. Not being haters, bro. We're just speaking truths, man.
Speaking the
That's
truth,
all
man.
it is.
The brain trust left. The player development people left. The shooting coach left. The superstar left. The rising star left. We had to bottom out. And what the Spurs needed to do 4 or 5 years ago was they needed to let go of Pop and actually bottom out. But they brought in DeMar DeRozan. They had LaMarcus Aldridge and all that stuff. DeJounte Murray, Derek White. And it was good enough to just like win a handful of games. But right now, the Spurs have Victor Wembanyama, right? Hopefully he comes back from the blood clot perfectly healthy. We're all making that assumption. We have a potential rookie of the year in Stephon Castle. We have a very good point guard in De'Aaron Fox. We have a young head coach who did not have an offseason. And we don't know how much power he has to wield as head coach. We are really starting the rebuild now. Because everyone's saying we've been rebuilding for the last 5 or 6 years. We weren't rebuilding the last 5 or 6 years. We sucked the last 5 or 6 years. The rebuild began, Joe, when Pop got the stroke.
Look at
phase two was when we got De'Aaron Fox. Jeff Garcia said, Mike, is it written on the wall that Mitch is going to get the head coaching gig? I would say 80% chance yes. I mean, if I had to bet money on it, I'd say yes.
JHNSB, man after my own heart. I'm not buying tickets and supporting this garbage. Don't buy tickets. You know what's funny? When I go to the games, and my friend Jonas Clark, he's been there with me. And you know how they shoot the free T-shirts out of the cannon? They're like, boom, boom, free T-shirt for you, free T-shirt for you. One time they threw the damn shirt at me, right? I caught the shirt and I threw that motherfucker back, dude. I said, I'm going to put a note on it and I'm going to send it back and I'm going to say win. I don't want no damn shirt. Give me a win. And he started laughing. And when I threw the shirt back, all the people around me started laughing at me because they're like, this dude's crazy. I'm like, I don't want a shirt. I want to win, dude. Win a game, you know? And then we went to another event and they threw a shirt and I caught like 2 shirts and I was going to throw them back. And my friend Jonas goes, you better not. You better not. Mm-hmm. So it's a running joke with us when we go to the games. I'm like, I don't want a damn shirt. I just want to fucking win, dude. I'm going to throw that
I've caught a shirt before. So like I've caught a shirt at the Spurs game. They're not really nice. I
They're
thought that I was
alright.
gonna. I mean, come on, dude. These are
They're
$3
alright.
shirts.
They're like
It
Pulga
has
shirts.
yeah, they're pulga shirts exactly. You
Yeah.
put them in the washer and dryer. All the lettering goes to crap.
You pull them up
So
to the sun, Mike, and you can see straight through it.
yeah, and then the free T-shirts that they give out are also garbage. I got a free T-shirt when I went to the 76ers game in Philadelphia a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That one was pretty nice, man. It was a good looking shirt. It was a good looking shirt. It had the logo, the red, white, and blue. Ben Franklin had all that stuff on there. That was pretty cool.
They're just asking
Um,
what size of shirt do they shoot out? I believe they're extra large is what they shoot out.
XLs,
Yeah.
yeah, because they know we're San Antonio, baby. We're big boys in San Antonio.
What's
That could be shooting out
that
mediums,
extra large ain't gonna fit normal size people here in the city, Mike. Come on.
normal size. We're abnormal size in San
I'm
Antonio.
just saying, man, we're big people here, dude. Like that
Okay,
extra
so
large is
so
tiny, man.
so you saw that Francesca was in town for our celebration over at the Hidden Tavern the other day, right?
Hmm.
She's from Conroe. Now she's lived in Austin before, but she's from Conroe. We're driving around San Antonio. She goes, man, Michael, even her friend Elizabeth was saying, there's a restaurant everywhere in San Antonio and it stays open late. Like we went out the other day, right? We went to Taco Palenque at midnight or 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
It was like
Everything, 1 in the morning, everything shuts down in Conroe at 10. At 10. San Antonio's still hopping. You still got gyms open. You got Chachos, you got TCs, you've got
Hey,
Whataburger open. Over here, it's all dead at 10.
case in point, when me and Pledger went out after the karaoke party, we went to the Brew Pub and we went to go and eat. We're gonna go to Jim's, but Jim's was closed, so we went to Denny's. We finished the night off at Denny's, and it was like 3 in the morning. And me and Pledger are out there eating,
Yeah.
before we
Oh,
go home.
I went with Pleasure one time along with Jeff Garcia to Denny's one time. That's funny, dude. Denny's, man, it's so bad, dude.
For the win.
Okay, Denny's versus Jim's.
They're about the same, dude.
Dude, Jim's clears, man, by far.
Think so? It's about the
Yeah.
same, man.
Joe Gonzalez says we need 3X plus being sent into the stands.
Hey, if they're gonna shoot those 3X shirts, man, they're gonna have to increase the pressure on that
All
little
right.
gun, It's not gonna make
All
it,
right.
dude.
All right. The XL might fit our friend Chris Leha from MCS General Contracting. Let's give them some love. They've been with us since day one.
MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show. And there you go. Make sure you go ahead and call Chris Leha for all your contracting needs, especially when it comes to concrete. They can do a landing like they did over there in Mount Mike's backyard, which I saw personally that they did fantastic work. They can go ahead and make you a pickleball court, basketball court, an ADA compliant ramp for your business or your home. So make sure you go ahead and call Chris Leha. Number is 210-774-9155.
Hand of a fist on our chat line says, moon over my hammy is all I know about Denny's. So like Denny's has moon over my hammy, right? Jim's has is it the Rustler special? Yeah. And the IHOP has the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity. that I do know. Let's give me some love. Let's throw my number out there.
Yeah.
So this is my cell number right here, 210-508-0369. Give me a call if you have any questions about things like retirement accounts, various types of insurances, whether it be life insurance, disability, long-term care. People have old 401ks, old IRAs out there. Maybe it's with a bank or with a CD or whatever the case may be. Give me a call. If you want someone new to manage it, a different approach towards it all, give me a call, 210-508-0369. Mario Cavazos posing the question, 199? Are you out of your mind?
God.
What restaurant was that? It
IHOP or Denny's.
was IHOP. It was
Yeah.
IHOP. Man, sorry, give me 1 second here. But if you could go to tmz.com, Joe, saw an article that I thought was funny. So imagine being on a dream vacation to Italy, right?
Yeah.
I mentioned to you that me and Chica were on a flight to Barbados, and this guy, a few rows in front of us, was having a seizure. And this lady next to him started screaming, like, bloody murder. And it created this whole scene, right? But the guy lived, right? At the end of the day, he lived, and there was no one landing. But according to TMZ.com, it's about four articles down. There was a family, a couple that was flying to Italy right there,
There he is.
and the person next to them died, and they didn't land. They just put a blanket over the person and said, "Here, you sit next to this dead body.
Weekend at Bernie's, bro.
You sit next to Bernie
God.
for hours until we land." A flight, I believe, that was going from Australia to Italy. These people going on vacation. This guy put on headphones, sitting next to a dead body. Woo! Joe, how would you have handled that?
Oh man, come on, dude. They can't put that like below in the storage area or something, man.
Just carry him out.
Carry him out, dude. He's dead. Just put him somewhere. Put him on the net. Like just leave him there or something. With all the luggage.
Okay, I tell you this much. There's no Latino out there that would have allowed this. Okay. I know myself, I know Chica, I know you would have been like, hell no. Like, oh hell no. Like I would have been like, you ain't putting that body next to me. You're not gonna just put a blanket over a dead
Like
body and let me
Jessica would
fly.
have screamed, bro. She would have been like, "Oh no, dude." She would have
Oh
walked up and
no,
left.
wouldn't have screamed as in scared, would have screamed as in like, get you
Nasty.
out of your effing mind.
Yeah.
That's
She'd be
funny,
like,
dude.
"Nah." She like, "This ain't it, dude.
That's
This
funny.
ain't it."
What's the worst travel experience you've ever had? Like flight experience?
Oh no, it wasn't even a flight. Way back in the day, man. I went to go visit my sister-in-law one time, and this was years and years and years ago. She was in the army, dude. She had just finished boot camp, and she wanted us to go over there to go and see her graduate. And it was one of those times where they were allowing the people that finished the boot camp to actually visit their family because they hadn't seen anybody or talked to anybody in a long time, right? They had to finish their boot camp to earn the privilege. So I get on there and on the bus, man, the Greyhound from San Antonio all the way to, I think it was North Carolina.
Oh
Going
wow.
over there. Dude, it was the worst like 26 hours of my life, dude. The freaking bus stunk. It was hot. It kept stopping. They make the frequent stops at every little town. And like you get on the bus and you're tired already, right? Because it leaves at some ungodly hour, right? Early in the morning from San Antonio. And then you keep stopping, dude. You can't like really sleep, because you keep waking up because the bus is moving, jerking, it's rough. And then every so many hours they stop, you get off, you get on a new bus, and they have the dogs come in and check everything, and you got to get on another bus, and then a couple hours later get on another bus. It's just constant, dude. Like you can't relax. Then finally when you get to your destination, you're so tired, and then you got to get back on the bus again and do it all over again. It's just
Yeah.
awful, man. Awful. Never again.
I took a flight. That's awful, dude. I've never done a Greyhound. I made my daughter do a Greyhound once. It was because there was a hurricane coming up to Louisiana, and I couldn't go get her, so I put her on a Greyhound from Baton Rouge to San Antonio. I one time was on a flight from Cincinnati to Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah.
And they call those puddle jumpers, right? It's kind of like flying from San Antonio to Houston. It's a quick 30-minute flight. And I swear the plane that we got on looked like the Cleveland Indians plane from the movie Major League. Remember when they brought up, they're like, "Oh, chartered flight," and it's like, no, it's this really busted, beat up plane.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, they were like trying to get the propellers to go, but the propellers weren't going. So they had a guy get up on a ladder, and he just started swinging the thing. He started swinging the propeller. It took him like 6 or 7 tries. It was icy outside, And finally the thing went brr, 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 and it kept going. Finally started going, right? Then he comes down the plane, try not to get like killed by the blades, right? The plane takes off, and it was the worst turbulence I've ever experienced in my life. I thought
Oh,
we were gonna die,
speaking
man.
of prop
We
play,
made it. We made it to Des Moines, Iowa, in the snow, and I wanted to kiss that snowy ground when I landed. It was so bad. One time, I got on a flight. I told my girlfriend this the other day. It was in Fresno, California. I was working out there, and the guy that checked me in, got my ticket, was also the same guy that got me through TSA. Was also the same guy that greeted me on the plane. It was that small of an airport. It was stupid small. Like you could park like people's cars where you parked and where the plane parked was maybe 50 feet away from each other. It was so damn close. But one last story about flying.
yeah.
Greg Simmons, when I worked at KSAT back in the 90s, asked I had to go to a game for instant replay. I think it was in Houston. He goes, I'll fly you there. Because I don't know if you know this, but Greg Simmons is a pilot.
Oh
He,
wow, I didn't know that.
he has like a Cessna and all that stuff. And I told him that I was fearful of flying with him, and he kept on asking me why. Now this was skinnier Michael Jimenez. This was 21-year-old Michael Jimenez. I said, I look too much like Richie Valens, and you look too much like Buddy Holly for me to ever be on a plane with you. And he started laughing. But yeah, Greg Simmons, old story back in the day.
Look at this. Benji says you took he goes, whoa, you took a Greyhound? Yeah, I sure did. He says, why? The weirdest people are on those. You know what? Case in point, we stopped in some little town, right? Some sleepy little town. And it's not even a bus station. What it is, it's a bus stop. It's a little
Right.
hole in the ground, and it has the Greyhound symbol on it. It's in the middle of freaking nowhere, dude. There's nothing for miles around this one little stop, right? You're just standing there in the middle of a freaking open field, right? Highway, and you just get on the bus. The bus pulls over, you get on the bus. So the bus stops in the middle of this godforsaken place, and these two kids get in. Country folk, you could tell they're country. Get in with the backpack and everything. For the next, I think it was like 10 or 12 hours, man. These guys, they would stop, right? The bus stops at these other little bus depots. You
Yeah.
can go down and get food or whatever, right? And these guys, man, the whole way there, eat nothing but peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, dude. They're hungry, get another peanut butter and jelly sandwich out. And it was all wrapped in like foil and stuff, like another peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
I gotta ask you something about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Are you for or against PB and J?
I don't mind it, dude. It's all right.
I
But
love PB and
12
J.
hours, not 12 hours eating peanut butter and jelly.
Have you ever toasted a PB and J, where like instead of just regular bread, you get toast and then you put the peanut butter and jelly on there? I like that. But we were at HEB the other day, and we're walking through the frozen aisles, and Chica was like, "Who eats that crap?" And she was talking about Uncrustables.
Oh,
Okay.
hey, my kids eat those Uncrustables.
Dude, I was like, they're delicious. And did you know that I saw this dietitian for NFL teams, that the number of Uncrustables that get eaten at halftime of football games is obscene.
Yeah, it's high.
I know that Travis Kelce of the Chiefs has said many times that he has about 6 Uncrustables at halftime every game.
Yeah.
It's their source of protein. It's a snack. It goes down easy, and you don't have to cook it. All you got to do is just take it out of the freezer, just leave it in the lockers, and it thaws out. It thaws out. Ben says he's against PB and J. The question becomes, what about the jelly? Are you better with the strawberry jelly or the grape jelly? Because I for many years, 20 years, bought strictly strawberry jelly, because growing up in the Jimenez household, we only had one jelly, which was grape, right? It was I don't even think it was Smucker's. It was like, I don't know, whatever brand it was, HEB brand or Handy Andy brand jelly, right?
Yeah.
So I made it a point that when I started making my own money, that I was going to buy myself strawberry jelly. Did that for 20 years. Now I'm back on that grape bandwagon right now. But I just think it's kind of funny. I like it a certain way. Crunchy peanut butter only. Give me the grape jelly. Toast it, not toast it, don't matter. But man, PB and J does it for me.
You know, I went to a peanut butter and jelly restaurant they have here in San Antonio, with my friend Taro. For real, no lie, no lie. My friend Taro Katani, he was in
Yeah.
town. He comes in every often, right, from Japan to watch the games. He was in town one time. It was about a year and a half ago. And I said, "Hey Taro, man, let's go do lunch or something, bro. I'm off this day. You know, it's rare that I'm off now." Yeah, man, let's go ahead. He was during Fiesta, and he's like, "You know what, man? I'll meet you at this one place. I've been wanting to try it out. It's a peanut butter and jelly restaurant here in San Antonio." I'm like, "All right, man, I'm game for it." Taro and me always have these adventures, right? We go and do all these weird things. So I meet him there. Place was great. It's called PB&J with Tay. And if you've never gone, man, I would highly suggest you would go, especially if
Yeah.
you're into peanut butter and jelly. It's like a peanut butter and jelly connoisseur's paradise because they have all these weird concoctions and they're really good. You know, the
Yeah.
peanut butter and jelly is really good. So me and Taro ate there and everything, gave him a little care package and whatnot. It was fun, man. I got to catch up with Taro, dropped him off downtown so he could get some rest and then go right back to Fiesta again. But it was a good time, man. The peanut butter
I
and jelly restaurant.
I gotta check that out. I've seen a food truck that does nothing but PB&J as well. Kind of the same concept, but from a
Yeah.
food truck perspective. Um, Elvis Presley would eat peanut butter with banana, and instead of jelly, would drizzle honey or syrup on top. There's
And
a
also
coffee
died
shop.
on the shitter, Mike.
There's a coffee shop off of Broadway downtown where I had a client meeting there a couple of years ago, and I'm sitting there waiting for him to show up. And I had never been to that coffee shop. He lived in that area. He was like, "Come meet me over there." And I'm looking around, and I order breakfast. And the breakfast I had over there was exactly what Elvis had, but they did it fancy, like, man. It was like a really nice bread. It's like a fancy bread, and it was toasted, and it had the peanut butter, the creamy peanut butter, had the very finely sliced banana in there, and instead of honey, they drizzled jelly, not jelly, like pancake syrup on top of it,
Okay.
and it was so good. I do it at home sometimes. Don't
It's
tell
like
Chica though; she'll get mad.
is it like that one commercial? Like they stretch out and they have the from the 80s. Do you want some Grey Poupon? They come out with
Mhm.
the little syrup bottle for you, Mike. Drip that on top of your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, dude.
Yeah,
Oh,
people are saying that they've had too many PB&J sandwiches because it reminds them of when they were poor growing up. It's amazing, dude. It's a food.
ugh.
Let me ask you this, and I think this is a conversation piece I want to start with
Yeah.
today, but we can continue on a future day. But I had this conversation over at the bar the other day. If you were on death row
Yeah.
and you had a final meal request of anything in San Antonio, what would it be?
I'd probably want a good, like maybe 11, 12-ounce sirloin, medium rare,
Yeah.
some mashed potatoes, some seasoned rice or something.
What
Put
restaurant
some,
from?
I don't know, man. The last time, well, Sunday, I went and ate over at the Texas Roadhouse with Lawrence, DJLG. And
Yeah.
we partook. I told him, "Hey, man, I highly recommend the sirloin. It's really good here." I think he winded up getting like a chicken fried steak, and I had the 11-ounce sirloin. It was very good, dude. I liked it from there. I liked it.
I think, and it kind of dovetails to what we did earlier. I think my favorite food in the entire world is a potato egg taco. Papas con
Really.
huevo.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can have that for breakfast and be happy. Can have it for lunch, be happy. Can have it for dinner, be happy. My daughter says the same thing about bean and cheese. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack works either way. Works either way. I wouldn't have it with ketchup like I did this morning. For some reason, I was craving ketchup. I don't know why. But let's go back and revisit that poll question.
Okay.
Let's see how many people voted so far. 82 votes, 92 votes. Just updated. 68% saying that no, it is not cool to put ketchup on your taco. Salsa only. 32% saying why not.
You know what Benji was talking about? Food, him remembering eating peanut butter and jelly all the time to where he hates it now when he was
Yeah.
young, they didn't have a lot of money. One of the foods that I absolutely hate because it reminds me of being poor back in the day, right? When you had no food left. It's either spam. I can't stand the smell, and I can't stand the taste of spam. It's disgusting. It's like gelatin, like a gelatinous glob that just comes out when you open the little freaking tin.
Yeah.
just plops on there. Disgusting, gross. That makes me want to gag just thinking about it. The other thing is, my mom used to make this concoction, right? When we had no food left in the house. And I freaking hate it to this day. She would call it, I would call it weenie soup. So it was weenie, right? That they would chop
Mhm.
up and they would get like green beans. And then they would get a can of like tomato sauce and put it in the pan, right? And get everything all warm and whatever and put maybe a little bit of salt, pepper in there. And then they would just like scoop you out a little chunk there, put it in a bowl, and there was dinner was served. Gross, bro.
Okay, I mentioned Papa's con huevo is my favorite food.
Yeah,
If you want to bring up something that I think makes me feel poor and I don't want to eat it,
yeah.
is weenus in egg.
Uh, that's
That is
undefeated, Mike. Come
that
on.
is gross,
No,
dude.
we
That
didn't eat
is
good, bro.
weenus in egg makes me feel poor
But it
in a
makes you
bad
feel too
way.
ethnic. Say it. Say it, Mike. Say it.
It's too ethnic. Bologna makes me feel poor. I think
Oh,
out of all the cuts of meat that you could have at the deli, if you're going with bologna, you're poor. Okay, weenus, bologna, you're right about spam,
it's
and then
disgusting.
when it comes to drink, Sunny Delight. Nothing says you're poor like Sunny D, man.
No, you know what says you're poor back in the day, and I liked them when I was little, man. Those little hug juices, dude. They've been around forever, man. Those little juices that they serve, it's like a bear, and they're all different.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You look at the ingredients. It says made with 100% pure diabetes. JHNSB reaches out to us on our chat powered by MCS General Contracting, saying that Mike says Doritos in a sandwich is ghetto. First of all, that makes it elegant. That makes it classy. Okay, get a little bit of ham and cheese going. Real cheese, dude. Nothing says you're poor like Kraft Singles, or even worse than that, whatever the generic version of Kraft Singles is. I hate American cheese,
Man, the
but
cheese, it doesn't melt, dude. That's what that is.
that's gross. But you get ham, good ham.
Yeah.
Okay, not Oscar Mayer. You go to the deli at HEB, you get the ham, you get the Colby Jack cheese or the cheddar cheese on top, right? Then you get some sour cream and onion chips. Put it on top, get the bread down, smash that down. That's good. Doritos is second best. Sour cream and onion, though, makes it happen.
Look at Jesse A calling you out, Mike. He said, if you had Sunny D, then you had some money. The people,
Tampico
the
was
people. Oh, Mike. You just put yourself in a different tax bracket, brother.
We were working class, not broke.
Oh, man.
Matt Larimer going, well, I had 39-cent ramen for breakfast. What do you know? 39 cents? That's kind of expensive these days. Now, what is your favorite ramen? The creamy chicken is the one that I like to get, but I don't have it very often.
I just used to like the regular chicken one, you know, or
Regular
the
chicken?
beef one. Chicken or beef. I wasn't into the shrimp. I never liked it.
Yeah, I bought into the whole urban legend that it doesn't digest. I'm sure it doesn't digest very well, but ramen, like the Manchurian ramen, whatever, not a big fan of.
Look at Tony Ornales is with you too. I had Sunny D and I lived 2 miles away from Marbach.
And what's Marbach, Joe?
It's all right.
Poor.
Spicy lime. That's what JHNSB is saying. So
Nice.
that's what I was telling Francesca the other time too. Because I'm like, you're like, oh, I grew up in the hood. I'm like, no, you didn't, Mike. I said, we grew up in the hood. You grew up over there by Holmes. You were middle class, bro. That was a late night drunken discussions that we were having. Who was poorer? Oh, God, man. We had some good discussions then. That was fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you got me Jack Daniels, which is not a good thing, man. That's what did me up. Jack Daniels. Okay, I am not a big fan of. Okay, back in the day, I was okay with Gentleman Jack. But I mean, it goes down bad for me. I don't know what it is. Like Crown, I feel like $1,000,000. Jim Beam, I feel like $1,000,000. Maker's Mark, Bullet, all of that stuff. I feel like $1,000,000. You start
and
giving me
Coke.
Jack. Jack will jack me up.
The last 3 drinks I got you was Jack and Coke. Because I saw your drink getting low and I would go out there and I'd buy something. So I got to take
Appreciate
care of
it
my
though.
boy. Take care of my boy. I got you another one. You know, went up
And our,
again, saw you a little low, got you another one. You
our
know,
boy Pledger was out there also,
yeah, I took care of
which
Pledge
is
too.
which is very very fun. Well, fellows, it is 11:30. I got to get going. Work is calling. I'm going to be in Charlotte the next 3 days, doing some work out there for one of the companies that I represent. So, Joe, I'm going to try to jump on for a segment or two tomorrow, depending on how quickly I get through TSA. But we'll be back. I'm sure we'll be talking about the Spurs tonight against the New Orleans Pelicans. They're running it back. Pelicans, one of the worst teams in the NBA, but they kicked our ass last time they played over the weekend. So
Yeah, they
we'll
did.
talk about that tomorrow. Everyone have a fantastic day. Have a productive day. Again, give me a call. If you have questions about finance, investments, insurance is 210-508-0369. And don't forget also MCS General Contracting for all your placement, your concrete placement needs. Locked On Spurs for your daily content. I'm sure Jeff is dropping a podcast later on today, so check that out. Everyone have a fantastic day. Be back tomorrow. Y'all be safe.